It gives me absolute pleasure to introduce Gordon. So Gordon Smith is an aviation journalist with many years' experience in the industry, and he's going to take us through our session all about high-tech ancillaries and tailoring onboard retail to sell smarter. So please do, we will stop for Q&A, so please do have your questions ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. As Becky says, I'm Gordon, but I'm sure you're far more interested in our panel here. I'm a firm believer that no one can introduce themselves better than themselves. So if we can just briefly go through the panel, maybe starting with David, a few words about who you are and what you're up to.
Hi, my name is David Miller. I'm CTO for Inflight Dublin. So we provide in-flight entertainment content, but also we provide a wireless streaming platform to enable ancillary revenue on board aircrafts, be it selling, be it advertising, be it other types of services. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Superb. And Natālija?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natālija. I'm VP Product and Customer Experience for AirBaltic, and I oversee the whole customer journey, where Inflight is one of the parts, and of course ancillary is one of the products we are developing through different touch points.
And finally, Nijat.
I'm Nijat. I'm from AERQ, working on the business model side of the platform of AERQ. We are basically providing in-flight entertainment platform, hardware side plus the software side, which is a modular open IT platform. And yeah.
Superb. So I think between the three of our panelists, we've got all bases covered, or most bases covered. And as Becky says, we should hopefully have some time at the end for a brief Q&A. So if you do have any questions, do try and keep them for the end. I'd like to kick off with you, David, if I can begin.
Yep.
Clearly, you've got a captive audience.
Yep.
How can that be leveraged? How can we, in real terms, make sure that we're making the most of what is really quite a unique opportunity?
I think there's a number of different opportunities there. I mean, people, if we're coming from the in-flight entertainment side, which is basically distract the passenger while they're on the plane to keep them away from the crew, kind of thing. So, but there is the opportunity there to basically upsell opportunity, and so what we're seeing is, although we kick off on the entertainment side, more and more people are coming to us saying they're looking for a platform that they can host things like order to seat. So basically passengers can order directly from the crew. Also airlines are looking to monetize what they're putting on board in terms of entertainment, so they look for things like advertising revenue, destination guides, etc. So I think airlines are beginning to twig that there's an environment there that can be utilized to basically drive ancillary revenue for them and basically help them with their bottom line, and also deliver a better passenger experience. Like, I mean, the holy grail is kind of go pre-flight to in-flight to post-flight, and that's really where we're trying to get to with all this. So.
Superb. A lot of themes there that we'll come on to later,
yeah.
Advertising and monetization. And Natālija, from an airline perspective, it does offer an opportunity to create quite a unique passenger experience proposition. Do you agree?
Absolutely, because we have passengers captured for a certain period of time in the environment where they cannot move, and we have to use these opportunities in a good meaning, of course. First of all, creating and delivering exceptional services while delivering them from point A to point B, but also entertain them, delight them, give them opportunities to do something in addition on board. And in this respect, connectivity, which is transforming now since COVID has finished, we see that connectivity on board is booming as a sector, and it brings a lot of new opportunities for the airlines.
When in-flight Wi-Fi came in to play really sort of within the last decade, speaking to some airline CEOs, they'll say it's incredibly expensive to install, and actually from a consumer experience perspective, it doesn't always live up to expectations. From an airline perspective, what is your take on that? Has the technology caught up with the expectations? Where are we?
This is what we see now, that the technology has really changed, and it used to be that Wi-Fi and entertainment on board IFE advanced systems were the prerogative more for long-haul carriers like Emirates, Singapore Airlines, where they have offered a lot of opportunities. But now these technologies are evolving, and it gives opportunities also to short-haul carriers to deliver new exceptional services. And AirBaltic was the company who has selected and will be launch partner in Europe for Starlink as a connectivity for our internet on board. And we are proud to be in cooperation with this company, and we look forward to really transform customer experience for our passengers.
And Nijat, you would agree with Natālija that it's no longer simply for the long-haul legacy carriers. This is very much a field that's coming into the short-haul and even the low-cost sector.
You mean like IFE platforms, right?
IFE, Wi-Fi, maybe elements that were traditionally more associated with traditional high-end carriers.
Yeah, definitely. So the thing is, like, cost pressure on the airlines made them to realize that like ancillary revenue is one of the important points to reduce the cost pressure and also generate additional revenue, and also like operational efficiency on the airline side. So that's why actually this kind of ancillary technologies gained a huge importance on the airline side. But of course there is also some certain challenges to the airlines to implement this kind of technologies. Maybe to mention some of them, it can be budget, certain budget limitations, and also like existing IFE infrastructure, which is legacy infrastructure, that is actually it is a huge barrier for them to enter this area and to provide this kind of solutions. And also, like, there is uncertainty point on the investment. So airlines may be cautious about the investing in new technologies where they are uncertain about its widespread use, and also let's say the passengers' willingness to pay for that services.
It's a really interesting point. And David, would you say the pandemic and all the crisis associated with that, has that hindered investment, or has that actually expedited investment in this field?
I think it's actually caused people to be a bit more creative. I mean, in fact, our business grew during the pandemic. It was quite unusual, but there were different types of airlines that were starting off. They were looking for a cost-effective solution to bring to market, and to do so, they needed to have a platform that could give them the possibility of the ancillary revenues with it, be it advertising, be it order seat, whatever, but they wanted something which could grow. So I think the platform style approach is kind of here to stay. And you see the world of IT in general, where basically people are looking, no one company can do everything, but you can provide a way of bringing things together. And that's really what we're going to, I think it's what AERQ are trying to do, it's what Natālija and AirBaltic are trying to do. I think the connectivity side really is a bit of a game changer, provided it's there and reliable, but then you can actually give that seamless pre-flight, during flight, post-flight experience, which is what people really aspire to.
And Natālija, from an airline perspective, how did the COVID crisis impact what you do and how you do it, if at all, from an ancillary perspective?
Overall, the pandemic has changed passenger habits, how they fly, how they book, how well in advance they purchase tickets, what ancillaries they purchase. They probably became more agile and at the same time more cautious, but the expectations have risen. They want more diversity, flexibility. They want to be connected at the different touch points. They want even higher personalization. So demand is very high for variety, diversity, and being really listening to the customer even more.
So the passenger expectations have changed, arguably, post-COVID. How does that change how you do business and how you operate internally?
AirBaltic has always been very agile and innovative in this sense, so we are experimenting a lot. We are listening to our customers. We run different feedback and surveys to listen to our customers. And airline as us, we are transporting millions of passengers per year, and of different age and with different habits. So we try to give them a lot of diversity, and for example, now we run the project where we are transforming exactly ancillary sales on IBE as our first entry points for digital, and it will give even more flexibility to our customers. We will give them opportunity to combine whatever they want. We already do it, but we will extend it even more, and we will bring even more ancillaries to digital space, to IB space, that customer can do everything by himself.
And speaking about fleet, you're blessed in many ways in having a very new fleet, Airbus A220 aircraft. Do you think that simplifies your overall ancillary proposition? If you had a much more complicated fleet, can you envisage more difficulties? Has the fact that you've got a single fleet, with the exception of some wet leasing here and there, does that enable you to actually make a difference across the business in relatively quick time?
I would say that one type aircraft fleet, it enables us and helps us a lot on the operational and technical side. There are definitely a lot of benefits coming operating one type aircraft. But what comes to customer service, then our network is so diverse. We have flights of 50 minutes, Riga-Tallinn, and we have flights of 6 hours and a half, Riga-Dubai. And in terms of customer experience on board, both for business class and economy class passengers, these are completely different products and services and what we offer there. So I would say that from customer experience, we mainly focus on the where we fly, how long is the flight, what are our customers flying on board.
And David, we often hear about the prospect of a seamless passenger experience, beginning, middle and end. We've touched on it already briefly. In real terms, what does that mean to you?
There's a technical challenge around that in terms of there's a disconnect. If you don't have full end-to-end connectivity, that's where I think AirBaltic are, by having a seamless connectivity across the patch, it opens up a lot of other services. But for the majority of the clients we deal with, you've got a disconnect pre-flight, during flight and then post-flight. So we provide mechanisms to synchronize information pre-flight and also download usage information post-flight, but not just for ourselves, but also for our partners. So we've got a number of payment partners, we've got advertising partners, games partners, and they can actually download the information post-flight, and that allows them to enable the services across the patch. So it's just a bit of a technical handover point, if you like, which is kind of a challenge. But the majority of airlines today won't be going down that full connectivity route for a while.
Not yet, anyway.
Yes,
yeah.
but you can still provide a service which gives the passenger. I mean, at the end of the day, the passenger wants the same experience they have on the ground. They're always connected on the ground. They can always do anything they want. Why the hell can't they do it in the air? That's what they're thinking, and they don't want to pay for it. So basically, if you can provide services which allow you to get a bit of extra money from them, that's basically what you're just trying to make it as seamless as possible across the patch.
And we've seen some major carriers over the past month announce that they'll be making Wi-Fi effectively free at the point of delivery. Do you think that's a direction of travel that will be replicated more broadly, or is this quite specific to a couple of airlines?
No, I think it's going to be. It's just like if you look at the mobile operators around the world. I mean, mobile operators for years, they're trying to charge you for connectivity. They're trying to charge you for by data volume, and now basically you've got all you can eat mobile plans for data. So that's the way the airlines will go in time. People don't expect to pay for the web. Now, they'll pay for it indirectly, and the risk for the airlines has always been it's exactly the same as in the mobile operators. So they made the data free, but the people making all the money were the OTT providers. So the Facebooks, all those guys, they made all the money. The operators were bypassed. The risk for an airline is to make sure that their brand is there and they're getting the revenue, a fair bit of it, rather than it just going out into the rest of the web, as it were.
And Nijat, keeping on the theme of finances, it can seem quite an expensive, arguably daunting prospect to make a leap up, especially if you're going from a relatively old legacy product, a historic product. What would you say to potential clients coming to you saying, I want to make a difference, but I don't have a huge amount of money to spend? What's possible with a more modest budget, which still gets great outcomes?
So actually, like this kind of IFE platforms can be a huge driver of the ancillary revenue. So I would say that yes, the investment on this kind of technology is a challenge from time to time, but ultimately the extent to which it's a challenge to the airlines, it's based on airlines' specific strategy and priorities. So, but on the other hand, we can clearly see that there is a couple of points that can drive hugely ancillary revenue. So maybe I can mention some of them.
Sure, go ahead.
So, like e-commerce integration. it's a huge opportunity for airlines to provide a wide range of products and services to the passenger. There is a couple points for that, even separately, singly. Like this can ultimately increase the customer experience, but at the same time can be a huge driver of the ancillary revenue. But on the other hand, there is a bunch of other topics like pay-per-view content and also advertising cases. It is a huge ancillary driver for the airlines. And also third-party integrations, for example, let's take. You can integrate easily with the new kind of technologies. I mean, not the legacy ones, but you can integrate easily third-party services such as ride-sharing, such as tour operators, hotel chains, and destination services. And by facilitating this kind of bookings and also providing relevant information through this kind of IFE platforms, airlines can get commissions or referral fee on that. This is definitely also adding to their financial growth.
Is that something you would agree with, David? You can get decent results with modest financial outlay?
A good example of this would be AirAsia. So they produce what they call their super app, and that app does everything. You can do ride sharing, you can order food, it's like an Uber, all inside the airline app, and they've got advertising within it as well. So what they've done is they brought together a whole bunch of partners and basically put them into a single app using a single sign-on framework. And on the aircraft, you can order, but on the ground you can basically get other services as well. So I think they're trying to give you a platform that you can land on to do everything, and they're tied in with loyalty points for payments and stuff like that as well. So I think definitely it's an area which others will take up something similar, I think.
Natālija, I was in Helsinki, just across the water from you, the week before last at Finnair HQ, and they were closing the shop in the reception area for good, closing down sale because they are ending their onboard duty-free and sales service, at least in a traditional context. And that does seem to be the direction of travel amongst some carriers, not all, particularly in the Far East. Onboard retail still does very, very well. What can we do to modernize the onboard retail experience?
First of all, like colleagues said, the platform as such is very important, and software, but I would like to highlight once again that connectivity. Full connectivity with a real high-speed internet is very important as a first prerequisite. The second is strategy of the company, that, for example, AirBaltic goes for free internet for everyone. When we have announced partnership with Starlink, we have announced that it will be internet for free, without any logins, without any passwords, without any club subscriptions, whatever. You just come on board and you have an internet. And we see now a lot of airlines are following these trends, and we have recently seen that many announcements are coming. And then third prerequisite is transformation of really onboard experience, and this is what we are aiming for. You have mentioned this retail on board, like buy on board of duty-free items, for example, and trolley service. It might come into the past in the coming years, because we need to transform. It's already for a very long time, nothing has been changing, and but airline might become truly and fully retail platform without obligatory transporting all the stuff we are selling. So in this respect, I think it's exactly the innovation mindset of airlines not to be afraid to make this transition. Yes, because airlines are dinosaurs. As we know, we are very regulated industry. Sometimes to make some move, we need to pass a lot of time to make all the certifications, permissions, etc. And sometimes we are afraid that why do we need to change? But we have to change, and in this respect, AirBaltic, by mindset, by company culture, is very innovative. And we like to experiment and do these things, and I'm very much looking forward to our new onboard retail when we have full connectivity.
You raised some really interesting points there. One that struck me was the Wi-Fi will be straight on. Are you worried that you're missing out on an opportunity to gather consumer data, valuable frequent flyer information, that sort of thing, or will there be a little bit of information required for a first-time login, and then after that, or is it literally going to be open the phone and you're on.
Yes, but this is what David has mentioned, that connectivity on board allows us to create the whole customer journey and be with the customer pre-flight, during flight, and after flight. And it will be a seamless process for the customer with a lot of personalization. And we need to do it in a nice and a very engaging way with our customers, so that when they are on board, they want to communicate with us. They receive offers and promotions with us that are attractive for them, and they keep engaged, keeping them engaged.
And from a pure business perspective, how do you justify the investment if you're then giving it away for free? Are you hopeful that people will choose to fly with AirBaltic because you get the free Wi-Fi and you'll have that drip down effect, or what is the business justification for it?
One part is, yes, absolutely, our product becomes much better, and we see, in the coming years, it will be must-have for all airlines, also short-haul carriers, regional carriers, to have Wi-Fi for free on board.
It will no longer be a differential.
Yeah, it will be must-have. It's like the same, like some years ago, like 5-7 years ago, you went to some club or restaurant or somewhere, you had to register or even pay. Yes, now Wi-Fi is almost everywhere. And the aircraft environment, it remains pretty much one of the just a few where you still need to register to pay. So first of all, it will change and will be must-have. And secondly, it's transformation again of the onboard retailing and offering new opportunities, because one part, it will be a generation of additional revenue streams through additional products and services that will help us to justify expenses.
And do you think there's an opportunity for airlines to leverage existing goodwill with their brand and get that to translate into the retail space? I like AirBaltic, I trust them, I'm going to have a look at what they're wanting to sell me.
Yeah, because anyway, there will be a very rigid selection of partners. Yes, the same like we do now, selling some food on board, some items on board. They are very rigorously selected and checked, so it will be the same control, and there will be some trust from our passengers, knowing that we are not offering whatever. Yes.
You've curated the selection.
Yes.
And Nijat, you've been doing some interesting things at AERQ, I think I'm right in saying, around the D2C space, direct to consumer space with regards to streaming. Tell us a little bit more about what you're up to there and how that can ultimately be monetized, either directly or indirectly.
Yeah, that's a great example of what we do in AERQ. Like direct to customer streaming actually is gaining very importance in the aviation industry. It's thanks to also colleagues mentioned that increasing availability of in-flight Wi-Fi, that's one, and also there is increasing demand for the on-demand contents. That's the reasons for that. But when it comes to the monetization part, there is, I believe, multiple options to do that. One of them could be, which we also demonstrate that I will mention quickly, freemium model. So when adopting freemium model, you can still offer kind of standards, TV shows, movies, and music, this kind of contents, but you can also charge premium for the exclusive and premium contents. That could be one of the great use case to monetize that kind of products. But also there is a couple of parts that you can also incorporate targeted advertising within that streaming products, with a wide range of partnerships and this kind of brand co-brandings. And also the other way would be, in my opinion, partnership with the relevant streaming service providers. Such as Netflix and this kind of service providers. I believe that's beneficial for airline and for that service providers at the same time alike, because airlines getting a vast content library in this way, but at the same time content providers like this companies also getting exposure to highly captive audience and also new distribution channel. And we are at the moment in AERQ doing a partnership with Berliner Philharmoniker, as we call this is an industry-needed migration path to enabling the this kind of products within the cabin. So Of course, this is possible thanks to our cloud-based open modular IT platform, which is actually allowing you to onboard any kind of brand instantly. But within the legacy products, I guess this is a bit challenging.
Sure. David, it is a busy space, as you probably know better than most. What would you say is best practice in space? What are the companies that are doing it well and making waves doing? What have they got in common?
Are you talking from a supplier perspective or from an airline perspective?
Take your pick. We'll go for supplier.
Well, from the airline perspective, I think what AirBaltic are proposing to do, I think this is fairly ballsy. Like, it's basically going to go out there, it's going to deliver an integrated service across the patch, and I think that's where everybody will want to try and go to. Now, it assumes you've got ubiquitous connectivity on board. From an other provider perspective, it's how do you actually give that sort of seamless experience pre, post, and during flight, and deal with the technical difficulty that you're sitting in a tube and you're not necessarily connected all the time. I do think there's a unique opportunity here that you do have a captive audience. There's certain things you can detect, and your platform can say, look, I can give you different services based on where you're going to, not necessarily on who you are demographically or anything like that. Just I can give you a tailored service which can give a much better user experience in terms of the content they see, be it in-flight entertainment or what's offered for sale, etc. So I think it's just enabling a whole ecosystem of the ability to show goods, sell goods, and deliver the seamless content is where it's going to be. So bringing it all together in a seamless way is what's going to happen.
And Natālija, is there a risk that today's front runner, like you will be arguably with the Wi-Fi rollout, that becomes industry practice pretty quickly, and then you're having to find something else to be the next differentiator to make your products stand out? How do you manage that?
Yeah, and we anticipate it, and it's in every industry, in every business, pretty much it happens like this. Someone innovates, and he's the first on the market, and then a lot of companies replicate the success stories. And but we are very dynamic in this sense, and we have this corporate culture that we are constantly searching for new ways to innovate. So that's why we have the most modern fleet, and we are the biggest carrier of A220 Airbuses, and then we are transforming customer experience. We do a lot in digital space. We do a lot with our loyalty program. We are the only airline who has NFTs within our planes, within our loyalty program. So we are quite creative. We will find new ways to innovate.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Interesting you mentioned the generational aspect there, looking to the future. How can ancillary revenues become relevant to airlines when you're looking at younger travelers, so young adults, 16 plus? How can we tap into the people that expect to be online all the time and maybe expect traditional ancillary revenue streams to be targeted towards the business traveller or the older traveller? How can we make it relevant as an industry to the younger
for the youngers, one of the most important aspects is digitization. So for them, of course, they will never call, they will never do something via emails. It's the channels that they do not use. So we are searching for new ways to interact with them and to offer them as much as possible self-service in a very interactive way. So we are running several now projects within the company that will be addressed exactly to these younger generations more. This should be digitization throughout the whole customer journey on every touch point, not only during the flight booking process, to keep engaged with them. And then the relevance is important for them, and the purpose. So then it's very important company's ESG strategy and policy, which AirBaltic is very much focusing now on, and sustainability. We know that younger generations are very much into sustainability, and we also follow these trends. So starting with our aircrafts, which are one of the greenest fleet, but also transforming further. Like recently we have launched a SAF supplement where customers could, buying ticket, they could participate in the SAF fuel. SAF this sustainable aviation fuel, which is very limited now, but still it's growing, and we want to participate in it. And we will have a lot more initiatives on sustainability that we are following the same values as are relevant now to younger generation to be attractive to them.
And David, you're all about the content.
Yeah.
Is it simply a case of getting the right content to appeal to the younger demographic, or do you actually need to present it in a way that they know it's there, they engage with it, and they sometimes in some cases they pay for it?
Well, it's a bit of both, really, in terms of we try and source with we got content arrangements with all the major studios and about 300 different distributors around the world. It can be quite regional in terms of what they expect to see. A lot of we recently launched with Druk Air in the Kingdom of Bhutan, and they had very specific content they wanted to have there, and they expected to be in the local languages, all that kind of stuff. So it does vary, but I think the interface that people see, and they want to be able to discover what's available when they're on board. So I think it's just a matter of tracking the best of breed style of interfaces, make it more accessible, make it available within a browser, for people to get at, and it has to relate to the audience. Like Natālija is saying, for the younger audience, they're going to expect more viral content. They're going to expect they're not necessarily going to be your movie blockbusters. They'll expect various other series and stuff like that. And I think it's just keeping it fresh. And it's like your question, Natālija, what happens next is the airlines have got to think, well, what's going to delight the customer? It's all about delighting the customer and making a little bit of money at the same time. That's what we're trying to do.
On the topic of money, you can give the product for free, but there's obviously advertising opportunities there.
Yeah.
Where are we with the refinement of digital in-flight advertising, and where are we going?
So there's a number of different directions in that at the moment, where people are when we look, I think we've got 3 different advertising platforms we can make available. I think one of the challenges is from an airline perspective is attracting the brands to advertise to this audience, because the brands are used to advertising to the entire world on the internet, millions of people, and you're talking about thousands of people in an aircraft potentially. So it's showing the brands that they can actually reach that audience. Now they've got a very captive audience in terms of they can put a lot of advertising in front of them, and they will pay more per CPM within an airline environment, but you need to basically show that the brand can reach a larger audience in a region. So, for example, we're partnering with IMD, who are here in the show. We've got their ad server on our system, and what they've built is an ad exchange where a brand can basically develop campaigns that will go across multiple airlines in a region. So for Scandinavia or the Baltic regions, and the brand knows they're going to hit more people than if they just go with one airline. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's basically taking a leaf out of what's available in the online advertising world and making that available on aircraft, basically.
And Natālija, how do you balance advertising with the passenger not feeling like they're being bombarded? Is there a sweet spot, and how do you identify that?
At the moment, if we are talking about Inflight, we are still keeping Inflight magazine, Baltic Outlook, and it's very popular, and we get a lot of attention and from advertisers, and we welcome our passengers to open Outlook and to get acquainted, of course, with digital environment, and when we have this full connectivity, then the success will be in this relevance, yes, so that there are relevant offers to the relevant audience. So if we are flying on the Riga-Tallinn route, then we know who are these passengers, where they're flying from, and we show the relevant advertising. But there should definitely be a balance so that customers don't feel offended by advertising.
Of course, and conscious of the time, so just a couple of final quick ones before we hand over to a Q&A opportunity for the audience. Is there a risk, the more we rely on connectivity to do the things that we're maybe doing manually just now, or in a slightly more archaic way now, that we become overexposed to any failures or any faults? What's the plan B if suddenly that all-important connection goes down on that 5.5-hour, 6-hour flight to Dubai? What's the plan B?
There should always be backup, when everything works perfectly, like our new normal with a full connectivity.
It's great when it works.
Yes, and what happens if there is some downtime or something? So we come back to our traditional service, then crew will be coming to every passenger, communicating with them. Yes, of course.
So we actually provide a plan B. So in the server that we put on the aircraft, so if the connectivity is down, then you can still get some level of service from the serverless there. You can still order for the crew. In fact, we've got some customers at the moment who've got older seatback IFE systems which are not working particularly well, and they're putting our server on board as the plan B, because they basically want to, keep the passenger entertained and away and out of the face of the crew, basically. So I think it's recognizing that there's going to be a combination of connectivity will be there, but it won't always be there. And you see the same with companies like Viasat and Intelsat and the guys. They all have some kind of server on board to go with the connectivity. So when the connectivity is down, they can have some level of service. And I think that kind of hybrid approach will be there for a while to come, until everybody's connected everywhere on the planet at all times. So.
Fantastic. I'd just like to take this opportunity to take any questions from the audience. If we do have anyone that's got a question, either for myself or for the panel, if anyone's got a question, just put your hand up.
Thank you. Sadudal, Inflight magazine editor. I have a question for Natālija, just about your current trends. What is the most sort of popular ancillary products at the moment for AirBaltic, and do you see that changing into something else in the near future?
If we are talking about IB, then the most popular is still everything around luggage, any types of luggage, then seats, and then meals. So these are top three. But we are doing a lot of innovations and changes to change the second part of the tail of ancillaries and to bring new revenue streams.
Anyone else? Raise your hand if you've got a question. Not at this stage. Well, I'll continue the conversation. We've got a few more minutes. You mentioned, Natālija, the traditional, the seats, the luggage, and so on. But we're really moving away from that. That's sort of baked into most business models, that you're going to get a certain margin from those items. What would you say, maybe looking in 5 years or 10 years' time, could be the single most profitable area for you as a business in terms of the new generation of ancillaries? What are you most excited about from a margin perspective?
I think it will still remain ancillaries, everything about travel related, but maybe there will be in different combinations, in bundles, selling something which is must-have for your travel, combining with something which is less interesting for you, and bringing more sustainable options. I believe it's the more and more the society will be cautious about sustainability and traveling in the most sustainable way. These ancillaries will be more on demand, and they should also create a bunch of revenue streams.
And Nijat, at AERQ, you're doing a lot of innovative things, to put it simply. Is there anything that clients or potential clients are asking you to do that you're maybe not quite able to do yet, but would love to do in the near future? What's in the pipeline for you?
So, in general, what you could ask in terms of digitalization, we touched that point. So, in general, we do most of the parts that we already mentioned today. But of course, what is the challenging things for us at the moment? I would say it's connectivity. So when you're talking about digitalization and platform, and the other name of platform business model is even digital business model. So if you're talking about digital, then connectivity is a huge factor there. And if airline doesn't have any connectivity solutions within the specific aircraft, that actually limits us to provide existing products in full scope. So that is most challenging part. But I would definitely say that most of the topics like advertising, even digital kind of advertising with a programmatic advertising, e-commerce solutions, partner onboarding, this kind of things already exist in our platform.
I'll extend that question to you as well, David. Anything that clients or potential clients are asking of you which you're just not quite there yet, but maybe in the near future you might be able to bring on board?
Well, people ask about connectivity all the time, but there's a practical decision, because it is expensive to roll it out. And
I guess you have to say politely to the airline, well, we can do whatever you want, but you need to put it in the hardware.
Well, it's like they come to us saying, like, we want to put it, we want the latest Marvel blockbuster movies, and we say, we can do that for you, but it'll cost you this much.
Absolutely.
And then they change their mind. So what we're seeing is we're talking to a lot of airlines who would have had no solution at all, narrow body planes, short haul, whatever, and they don't want to invest in an IFE, a seatback IFE system, which are expensive. But by bringing a simple platform on board, they can suddenly start to deliver services that they weren't doing before. And they might start off with entertainment, they might then add order to seat, then they say, go towards advertising, that kind of stuff. So it's more and more people are expecting this type of service to be available, and especially you're seeing some of the newer aircraft, which are single aisle aircraft on longer flights, and they need some service on board. And it's just a matter of making sure that it's something that's scalable, that they can grow with, basically.
Which brings me on to some closing comments from the panel, if I may. Nijat, what do you think the industry is going? Where do you think the key trends are for our audience and for the wider industry to be watching in the next year or two? Connectivity, I assume, is a key factor?
Yes, that is a key factor, but I would say that's more enabler. But key trend for me would be the covering end-to-end journey for the passengers. As already colleagues mentioned a lot of times, that providing omni-channel experience across various touch points to the passengers, I think that's one of the important topic and will gain huge importance in the next years.
And Natālija, your key trends, the things for the audience and the wider industry to keep an eye on?
Yes, thanks to connectivity, I believe it will be a really transformation of customer experience on board and total experience on board. I mean, we have to think also about our crew because the success of customer experience is when your employees are happy and feel empowered with the different tools and processes that they have. So we think about total experience. And there will be a lot of transformation and innovative way and partnerships for retail models on board, where aircraft environment will be a new source for revenue streams.
David?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I mean, nobody knows what the magic solution is going to be for any particular airline. I think the key enabler over the next number of years is to have a platform that you can pick and choose the best bits, basically. So, and some services will work for some airlines, not for the others, but if you have a platform play that you can plug and play, then it makes it a lot easier for the airline to adapt quickly. And whether that's in a fully connected world, you can have the same platform fully connected with AirBaltic, or you can have it even disconnected if you don't have the connectivity. So it's just a matter of having that extendable base to work from, basically.
Really, really interesting times ahead. Conscious of the time, so thank you to my panel. We've got David and Natālija and Nijat. I'll be around, and I'm sure you guys might be able to hang around for a couple of minutes if anyone's got any questions one-on-one. More than happy to field those, but I'll hand back across to Becky.